Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I wanted to talk to you about how the narcissist sabotages themselves. So let's jump in. The narcissist, you know how they always promise you the world and they can never fulfill anything. And I think a lot of times the narcissist is so fixated on items, objects, and things. Not only did they make you an object or a thing, and they make themselves a thing, because when you can't process emotions, you just sit there like a blob, and you have no emotions at all. You can't express your emotions. You're never vulnerable. It's like you're just a piece of stone. You might as well just be a piece of stone that puts clothes on every day. So what do you date? You know, if you're dating a narcissist, you just say, well, I'm dating that stone over there, because that's what they are. The only time you get a reaction out of them is if you need something, which God forbid you ever did. You try to give them constructive criticism. You try to explain to them how they're totally out of line. And then when that happens, they have a tantrum because they're only like 5 years old inside their head. I mean, they're arrested development, and there's no other way of looking at it. And this is the thing. You know how people say, well, there's an age difference sometimes between individuals, and they're like, oh, that's the problem? Well, when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're always going to deal with an age difference because they're only like less than 10 years old inside their head. That's a major problem, because if they're arrested in their development, they're not trying to advance. Narcissists do not try to grow. I'm going to tell you something. You know how narcissists try to grow? They try to grow out here on the outside. What are they focused on? They're focused on getting more sources of supply, which would be people, objects, to fill their needs. So that's just worldly lust and items. Financial gains and jobs, cars, houses. That's it. But when it comes to anything personal, they can't tell you nothing about themselves because they don't want to be vulnerable, because they're afraid they're with the enemy when they're the enemy to you. This is where they're so self-sabotaged. That's why these people always end up alone toward the end of life. You can look this up on any page, any website, any driver on the net, or any book, whether it's psychology or counseling or anything. Everything will tell you every narcissist ends up alone, and nobody wants them. Most of the time, not even their children. It's because all they do is they look for objects to supply their needs, and that's it. And to get those objects, which I hate to call people objects, but that's how they look at you. That's why I say you're just a tool in their shed. When they need a rake, whoever the person they know that can rake, they're going to call them up and then sleep with them and get them to rake the lawn or the yard or the leaves or whatever. That's how they are. If they need somebody to mow lawn, they're going to call the guy who cuts the grass, and they're going to sleep with him, and they're going to have him mow the lawn. And they get benefits off of it, right? So they get their lawn cut for free. And then whenever they want to have a nice meal, they're going to call up the guy who they enjoy having a nice meal with. But when it comes to anything with stability, anything spiritual, anything personable, you know, you can't give. So all you can do is take. And I think when we talk online, what I'm starting to gather is from people that seem to be narcissistic online, or you get responses from, when we talk about how they have nothing to give, you know what they think? You know what I'm starting to believe is they think they have nothing to give financially. and that's true too, because they don't give anything. You should get reciprocity everywhere. But when we're talking about they can't give, 80% of what we're talking about is they can't give spiritually, mentally, or physically. Physically meaning if you're cleaning a house, they can't give you anything for that. You're going to do it all yourself. So they can't give you physically to team up with you to do it together. When it comes to anything, any kind of job, or if somebody's sick, they run away. Anything personable, they're going to lie to you. They have 50 different lies and manipulations for each thing that you would ask them about in their personal life. I bet they don't even know their own personal life. They lie so much. They don't know probably where they came from, what country, what city, what state. They probably don't even remember anymore. They tell so many lies. These people, when you get, especially with a deep, dark individual that is just completely toxic, y'all, almost inside and out all the way. These individuals won't tell you where they live, where they came from, what their real name is, what their true birthday is. They can't tell you where they went yesterday, where they went today. Where'd you go today? They could, I mean, and even when it's a stupid thing, like they went to get gas, they'll lie to you for that because they always want you wondering. And then they're like, I don't understand. I'm not ready. I have nothing to give. I'm saving up more money. I'm working on myself. You ain't working on yourself. You might be working on your cash stack, but that's just for you. That's just for you. That's not for you and somebody else as a team player. They are always siphoners. That's why they call it a Hoover. The vacuum cleaner is sucking. A Hoover vacuum cleaner is sucking you back in. Why? To take, to steal. Call it whatever you want. Steal, take. I call them, you know, like they don't physically steal sometimes, but what they do is they physically steal your, still call them theft and thieves, and they're lying, cheating stealers. I still call them that. And that's because the ones that don't physically steal items or finances, literally, they're stealing it all in other ways. They take all of your energy, and then they give you a reinforced negative energy and cut you down to size, when really what should happen is you should be cutting them down to size. They have no ethics, no morals. They're impulsive. They can't be counted on, and they're never givers, period. I'm talking anything. That's how they work. In a nutshell, that's a narcissist. You're a tool in their shed, and when you do that specific thing perfect for them, they're going to call you versus some other guy or woman or, you know, whoever I'm speaking to here, you know, switch it up. But they're going to call whoever it is that can rake the leaves the best. I mean, really, they're a joke. They're clowns. And you know what they do is they come in and you're serious with them, right? Years ago, you're serious with them, and then they're clowning you, and they look at you like a clown, like I'm playing you, and you're filling them full of energy. And anytime you fill a narcissist with energy, they get pompous and they put you down with your own energy, and they think they did it themselves. That's how they are. And it never changes. When they go through a moment in time where they collapse, that you think they learn, they don't learn. Do you know what they do? They look like they learn. They have epiphanies, but they don't stick, because the first person that builds them back up, what happens? Let's say they're completely humbled by an experience. The first person that they can convince to build them back up on that high mountain, they're going to slam that individual right to the ground and walk away, laughing and clowning again. And you know this is true because they've done it. I bet these narcissists have such a line of destruction behind them. They could be like 35 years old or 40 years old or something, and probably have maybe 200 cases of individuals they've completely and utterly destroyed. And part of this is they have so much toxicity, they're blasting and blowing through people so fast. I mean, they get so toxic at some point, you can't even make it a few months with an individual when you're even trying hard. But what happens, they come in and they're clowning you, right? You build them up, and they're sucking every life juice off of you, every drop of sweat off of you, and drinking it up. They turn around and give you a smirk, slap you in the face, kick you down, step on you, spit on top of you, kick you a few more times, and then chuckle and walk away while there's somebody at the end of the sidewalk with their car parked and running with the door open. Their new source of supply ready to pick them up right there. And then they come back around, cycle. Hoover. Okay? Sorry for my interpretations today, but listen, this is what they do. I just get tired of being serious all the time. When you really let go of these individuals and you're just energetically done, when you heal, it turns into how funny that was. Because it is now. Because what happens is you do grow through all this. You as the empath, the black sheep, the scapegoat, the one with the gigantic heart, y'all. I love y'all. If it wasn't for y'all, this world would be in shambles. It's almost in shambles already because there's so many narcissists out here. If God took all the empathic people out of here, boy, it would be nothing but destroyers. This world would collapse in a minute with all these narcopaths. Whew. You ever see a relationship with two of them together, boy? You'd really get it if you never got it, like viewing something like that from afar or hearing stories. It's like toxic and toxic. I don't understand how they think they could ever have something that could have any cement to it. People like us need stability because we know that that's wise, you idiots, these idiot narcopaths. We need stability. We don't need these idiots. They're so in their head, they think they're such gods and goddesses when they're pieces of crap. You know what they are? They're like the gum on the sidewalk that you step on and it gets stuck to you and you keep dragging it. Now, it doesn't start out, you don't feel that way, but I'll tell you, for anybody that is on this channel today that thinks they want the narcissist back, that's fine. I think we all collectively could say we understand where you're coming from. But I'll tell you this, from being healed up at this point, you will never feel like that down the road. There was definitely a time where you were like, I hope they want to come back. You heal up, you're kind of like, I hope they're over me. because you don't want to deal with it anymore. You just want to be left alone. That's the funny thing. The funny thing is there was a time where you chased them. And I guess when you go inside and heal, because that's what occurs for some of us. Some people just feel like they can't do anything. There's empathic victims. There's tons of them. But they become the toxic enabler, which is a very close mirror to the narcissist. But not necessarily maybe in their heart per se, but because they enable it so much, it sure looks like it. But nevertheless, they're not helping anybody out. They're backing up the jerk. So they have to drop every moral and boundary. And you can't do that and be a person of goodness. But this is why they need so many forms of supply and they can't stop, y'all. They got to continually run because they're so immature. They can't do anything by themselves. And that's what they learned also when they think they're going to try to fix something. They start to go in and maybe try to cook a meal for the first time for themselves or something. Or maybe do a load of laundry. I don't even know if they get much further than that, paying a mortgage or something. They start to do a couple of jobs that are just one of the many jobs that we do on a daily basis because we are solid. Most of us are solid. Now, we don't look solid when they get done with us, but that's because they drew all our energy off of us, our fuel, and they make you look like them. And you do. That's why you want to run. But you can't run until you get it in your head. And the narcissists, they're not going to get straightened out until they decide they want to do it. But I don't even think that's possible. I think in some cases, if somebody is getting confused with an avoidant and not a narcissist, maybe. But even those guys are difficult. And they act very similar to a narcissist. And again, it comes down to vulnerability. That's why they look so similar to narcissists. Because they don't have vulnerability either. That's why they look like a covert narcissist. And vulnerability is everything, y'all. It's crazy because the vulnerability is what gets you in trouble with the narcissist. But that's because you were overcompensating for the grooming that took place in your childhood. So what we have to do is recalibrate. But the narcissists, they don't really recalibrate. They do a little bit. It's kind of like their room of recalibration is very little. And they don't have the willpower. If you were to look at it like your muscles, they have a really wimpy muscle. And a lot of times what happens is if you don't work that muscle and keep working it and growing it bigger so you could take on more weight, but you need will to do that and passion and heart, right? So if you don't have will, passion, and heart and a vision, what happens with the narcissists? Because they don't have any of that. What they do is they may try a little bit. They do a little laundry, and if they had to, let's say they had to have eating changes to lose weight, they're the type to eat one Caesar salad and feel like they completed their life-changing diet plan or something. Tomorrow they can go back to eating donuts or something. I don't know. It's just their muscle because they're only impulsive. So it's like an impulsive reaction. So their goodness would be like they do it one time and then they're wore out. I can't do it anymore. And then the muscle, like, you know how if it's got elasticity in it, or if you don't use the muscle, but you worked it out a few times and you got it a little bit bigger, it's starting to get juicy and grow. And then when you stop for a month, it goes back to the same size it was. So it just elasticity and the shrinking of it just pulls it right back down. That's how the narcissist is. And I start thinking about the narcissist, to where we have the ability to keep moving that dial and recalibrate till we get to where we need to be. And then we're positioned, we're aligned. So that's the thing with the narcissist. The narcissist, why the narcissist is great in your life is because the narcissist breaks you down, destroys you, cheats and lies on you like a coward, betrays you, tarnishes up your name, destroys everything in your life. But when you get destroyed, it wakes you up and it realigns you back to center. It's kind of weird because it's like when the narcissist comes into your life, they destroy you and make you feel dead. But when you come back, y'all, it's a new you. You're breathing life again, y'all. And that's where God says, whatever evil that comes at you, what the enemy made for evil, well, if you are a person, if you're what do they call it online? The star seed? We're star seed, what they call star seeds. We're just normal level-headed people. But we do have anointings. We're definitely healers. And we care. And we can pour our hearts out. I ain't doing that no more, y'all. No toxic people. The other thing is for the new people on here that really want the narcissist back, you may be convinced of that now, and I get that. We've all been there. But man, you really don't, because what happens is once you go in and start healing, if you wanted them back and you kept staying connected to them fools, they may get to a point where they won't leave your butt alone after. And then that gets annoying. You want to stay away so you don't have to keep dealing with them in the future, because they might try to become annoying to you after you heal. And you don't want it. You might be at some cookout somewhere and these fools be showing and be like, damn. What's up, y'all? What's up? What's wrong? What's wrong, Frank? What's wrong? Oh, I just saw that the narcissist showed up. I'll just say, this is what it turns into if you don't watch it. If you get them continually hooked, that's why it's best to just heal up and let go, because eventually you'll get to a point to where you'll be happy to not see them again. And you might just want to thank them. You won't do this. This is just hypothetically and being funny today, but you might want to just thank them for all the abuse. I appreciate the abuse, because once I came up out the mud, when God picked me up out the mud, I had a new lease on life, y'all, and it was totally different than when I went down into the mud. What does it take to get over pride on the vibration chart? It takes courage, but they can never get there. That's why they're stuck in a single cycle. Shame to pride, shame to pride, shame to pride, shame to pride. And it's the lowest vibration on the chart. And that's the vibration of demonic. That's my opinion of it. We're like on two different Wi-Fi networks, and let's say it's non-adjustable. So they would be like, they're on 2G. They're on the 2G band. And they can't, and they're stuck there. It's not an analog, it's not like it can adjust to 3, 4, or 5G. And for instance, this is all, hypothetical, but I'm just saying that's how it is. And we're like on 5G, and we're just unequally yoked. And of course, we're going to be higher than them, so we're above them as far as vibration level and all of that. So what do? When a person is a 2G-er, they can only elevate to 2G Wi-Fi, then you're going to naturally become a predator, because it's going to be a Wi-Fi band of 2G is always going to be hungry for help. It's always going to perform whatever they need to get done. They're going to need more help. So they're going to have to become predators, because they got to devise a way to find ways to get the help for the energy they need. So they got to start manipulating, because they got to get to 5G, because that's where everybody lives. Everybody, let's say, for instance, regular humanity lives on 5G. They're on 2G, but they want to be on 5G, but they don't want to put the work in. So they just continually let pride stop them, block them. Fear, pride, fall. Fear, pride, fall, shame. So it's like fear, pride, fall, shame. Fear, pride, fall, shame. That's how it works. And I think this is legit biblical. What does it say in the word? Pride comes before the fall. Well, what happens when you fall from pride? You are in a state of shame, because it's like you got defeated. And it wasn't necessary. And a lot of times it is a fictitious mountain that you're facing. Really. It's not something that costs more money you can't afford, or you're too weak, you don't have the muscles to pick it up. What is it? It's a battle of energy. It's a battle of energy and a battle of spirit. But God gave us all the ability to overcome those. All that is just to stand up and have will, courage, faith, hope, love, vulnerability. It takes vulnerability to get salvation. Most definitely. First, you need vulnerability, and then you need courage. Because then you got to go up and to the altar call. But boy, it's a great experience. I think I've been doing a little church up on here, But this is how it is. This is the thing. They self-sabotage because anybody that's normal, at least that's not subdued into their witchcraft, if you were to look at it like that, well, people from normal humanity, they want stability and a foundation. But everybody knows that a narcissist is impulsive. So if they're going to go out tomorrow and cheat on you, and then when you piss them off, they're going to ghost you and leave you and maybe never come back, there any stability there? The relationship could end tomorrow, and you know that every day. So there's no investment. The narcissist doesn't know how to invest. Now, when it comes to items, objects, and finances, yeah, they can do it, but they're going to invest separately or they're going to control it because they don't trust you again. That's vulnerability. And when the narcissist does get duped like they do, it's because they're looking from everything as out of lust and not love. And they pick all poor choices when it comes to those individuals. So it's either this, I should call them targets. They either pick targets that are playing them or narcissistic targets. Of course, you can't trust them. So if they get duped, it's going to be from somebody like that. Narcissist against narcissist. But then in the empath side, you just get spelled and then you let them control the money and then they will destroy you that way. So I'm a firm believer that both parties need to be involved in the money and have access to it and have equal say, period. I think you can have a little chunk of money that you save for yourself for different things, but everything should be transparent. That's not, a narcissist is never transparent. You can't have nothing with a narcissist. They can't give you anything. Everything they give you that deals with vulnerability is fake. If the narcissist was to tell you the truth, this is what they would tell you is, anytime that I'm vulnerable, I'm being fake. I don't feel love or anything that is tethered to love. I don't know who I am, so I just mirror you. I don't forgive, and I never forget. I don't apologize, and if I do, it's just to get you back. And if I am extremely validated when I'm out and about, after work, I might just go cheat on you, but I'll come back home and I'll reset like it never happened. And I have to have somebody in the background, at least one. That's not cheating, is it? Come on, I used to have 5. And now I just have 1 more boyfriend or girlfriend. But that's just a once in a while meet. We're really just friends. Oh yeah, we do sleep together once in a while. And that's only security for me. You can't do it though. But I can, because I'm a person of double standards. And don't ask me where I've been, because that's none of your business. But I want a GPS tracker on you, and you better tell me everything. And you better love me, hug me, and give me all your money. And if I want to leave, I'm going to leave because I'm better than you. But I do nothing for you. I just show up, and you better have some sort of cookies and cake for me, or else I'm leaving. And you better wash all the dishes, wash all my clothes, let me project on you, and obey everything I tell you to do. You're lucky if you'll get me working a career, but I'm going to control all the money so I can do what the hell I want, when I want, and leave when I want. And you have no say-so. Because why? Because I'm entitled. And you think you're going to change that? And I'm arrested in my development. I don't have a higher self. I don't have an innate spirit. I don't feel love, joy, peace, hope, gentleness, goodness, faithfulness. I'm never faithful to you. I never care about you. I have object constants. When I'm out of your sight, I forget that I'm married to you until I come back home. I don't have remorse in a lot of cases because I don't feel love. So I've wiped that part out of my brain completely. It's shut down. It's just a bone in there. Or a real wimpy muscle. But it's your fault. Or my parents' fault because they spanked me. Or they didn't spank me enough. I mean, and I am a victim because I got in a domestic dispute and it victimized me. Yeah, well, but I forgot to tell you, I had 200 cases of cheating on people who were married while I was married. So I had like a couple of victimized cases from people that blew their top, and after the destruction of everything, they left. See, they think, I mean, maybe you and I are not vengeful, but there's a lot of people that are. That's why you don't want to be with these fools, because, man, it's like that old Tupac song. What do you say? I see no changes because some young buck that I roughed up from way back, coming back after all these years, rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat, some things will never change. And that's how it is for the narcissists. They have cases like that all around town that have it out for them. And if you're walking around with them like clowning, you might get it. Especially if you're wearing their negative energy all the time, trying to people please them fools. But the funny thing is they just play themselves. It's like they play you in the beginning, and then you get tired of it, and you warn them and warn them and warn them. And then after years go by, they want to keep coming back, and you're like, no, man, I'm done now. At some point, you cross the Jordan, and never to return. I'm not going back to the desert, man. We already, man, that river was bad enough crossing that thing. Do you know how many boards it took to build the bridge across that thing? There ain't nothing over there. Because if God ain't over there feeding us with manna, it ain't nothing but dirt. I'm staying over here. You know what I mean? It's like, once you cross the Jordan, once you decide you're not going back to the narcissist, and then they come back and you're sitting in the promised land. You got a whole new castle, and you got a cluster of grapes that takes 2 men to carry. They're so big and juicy. And they're asking you to go back to the desert, and everybody left, including God. God first. He led the way. And you're like, after you've defeated the giants in the promised land, and you planted these clusters of grapes, and you built a beautiful castle over here, and it's nice and lush. Why the heck am I going to build a bridge and go back over to Jordan the other way? You're crazy. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like you're if you could fictitiously, it's like this. It's like you're here on Earth, and you repent and you get saved, you go to heaven, and you're up in heaven, man, chilling. And you just clean a house today, in the mansion. You mop the gold floors, and you went out and walked on the gold streets, and went shopping with a tree that grows money in the backyard that you pluck the money off of, and you're at home eating a fruit bowl, and the narcissist, they come over somehow because somehow, maybe they're one of them fallen angels that fell with the enemy, and we hadn't gotten to this point yet, and they're like, hey, let's go back to Earth. You're like, heck no. That's what it's like after you get over the narcissist. And if they had the ability to meet you once you got to heaven, hey, let's go back to Earth. Heck no. to go down there and mess with have to deal with a bunch of fools like you at the grocery store and everywhere else. Have to mow the lawn. Have to walk on cement instead of gold. You can have that crap. I'm staying where I am. So, but the biggest thing, they're just self-sabotage. And if they're always wondering, how can this happen to me? Well, maybe you should look at yourself in the mirror, first of all, and then find a way to process your emotions and get over all that dang toxicity. And this is the thing too, they got so many toxic people in their life, family, friends. They don't have any friends, but that's what they call them. Family, friends, and all these love partners tucked away. You know, they probably got a couple of love partners tucked in the bushes, in the hedges, in the backyard you didn't know about. By the time they get all those people out of their life, man, shoot, you'll be retiring. And that's the thing, they've built such a toxic life around them. And the thing is, they don't want to get it. A lot of times when you're trying to talk to them, try to convince them of stuff, they're not even listening, or they're playing you like a fool. Then when they come back and you know, they were clowning you. Now you're they look like the clown. They clown themselves, because then they come out, they think, well, I'm just going to go over there and have another cycle, until they go back over there and you're done for life. You know, like, God knows. Don't come back and see me ever, man. Not if we lived a whole millennium here, don't come see me. I mean, that's how it is. And I think that they don't get that. At the very end, they don't get that you can keep that crap over there, man. Because as far as I'm concerned, you're my enemy. I mean, what makes somebody think that you could be convinced after you healed up to take that crap back? I mean, and to do it would be, you didn't learn a thing. Everything you built out from since them, who the heck would do that? Well, I'll tell you this, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't take them back. Man, then they got all these addictions, man. I mean, you know, sleeping with people is an addiction, man. Maybe sleeping. I think that's worse than other addictions, but they have many addictions. They have toxic addictions, toxic relationship addictions. They have sleeping with people addictions, short-term relationship addictions, codependency to the point where they can't even move away from their mama. I mean, really, they were coddled. They were coddled, and it caused them to be in arrested development for some of them. And they were coddled so bad, it was like they came home and they had a cake with candles on it every night and cookies to eat in bed. And then they beat you down so many cycles that when they start looking at you, you do start looking like a piece of trash, because that's what they turned you into. That's how you feel after, and that's how you probably look. You do look for a time. But then, you know, when you get away from them long enough and you recalibrate them out of your life, then you start to glow up and do new things. And then, you know, and then they look like crap. And you're like, you know, they be missing their 2 front teeth and stuff, man, or something. I don't know. They definitely aren't cool like they were. You know, when they first present themselves to you, they're like cool. They look cool. I mean, because they're so darn stoic. But they do kind of, you know, they have all that, probably some energy on from somebody else or something. But that's just seduction, allure, and it's all fake. It's all hypnotism and illusion. Witchcraft. And then they're performing witchcraft, man. Nobody wants to be with no witch. That's why in case there's a narcissist on here, that's why we call y'all's cohorts and friends flying monkeys. Because you are the wicked witch. Or wicked wizard. What do you call you're the wicked warlock then. Yeah, the warlock. It sounds like a dang goat. Anyway, but that's the deal. That's all I got for you today. But I know that hits home. I love y'all. And they have to be with so many different people, because it takes them 4 times the amount of money. Like I said, it takes for you to make 50 grand, they have to get 200 grand to yield 50 grand of our 50 grand, because they're performing so much dang negative stuff out there that by the time they get hit with all the negative reciprocity coming from the sowing, the reaping that comes back, that's about what you need. You need insurance money, y'all. Those fools, man. And then they make some stupid decisions, man, thinking they're going to become rich, like thieving, really thieving, illegal stuff, like making stupid things. Like they're big on get rich quick schemes. You know, those being Ponzi schemers, people that they don't just manipulate you, but they'll manipulate other things. They think that because they're entitled, they think they can get away with it. Boy, they get hit, man, with that. And then they land themselves in prison. Ching, 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 ching. That's what happens to some of them because they think they're smarter than anybody. They're smarter than the system, and they're smarter than God. And that comes back to bite y'all. Bite them, y'all. So anyway, give me a like, subscription. I love y'all. Till next time. Peace. We out.